online virtual meeting. Right? However, Governor Ivey does provide us permission to hold this special meeting on this special meeting, which is our regularly called board meeting, but we have the special exception to be able to hold this meeting online virtually. And so at this point, I will call the meeting to order. And Ms. Douglas, if you will call roll for all of the board of directors so that we can have an assessment of who is here today.
Yes, I will. I'll start with Dr. Hannon.
Present.
Director Watson. Director Watson. Director Hatcher. Director Hatcher. Director Green.
I'm here.
Okay. Director Burton.
Present.
Okay. Director Anderson. Director Anderson. And Director Clark.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go right into the agenda. And I think Ms. Burrow will take care of the agenda items for us today. And we can just go ahead and start now.
Okay. Caroline, are we going to do an approval of minutes?
Yes, ma'am, we will.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
This first item will be an approval of the May board meeting minutes. This is the regular scheduled board meeting minutes.
If it pleases the chair, I'll make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of May 6th.
A second.
All right. Director Hannon, we ready to call for the vote?
Oh, yes, sure. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Director Hannon,
Aye.
Director Watson, Director Hatcher, Director Green,
Aye.
Director Burton,
Aye.
and Director Clark,
Aye.
and Director Anderson. Okay, that passes.
I
All
do
right,
want
Ms.
to
Burrow, we're
note,
ready.
if I can note real quickly that I do appreciate the extra work that went into these meetings. We do, I mean, it was requested last time that we have the more itemization of the votes and more details associated with the meeting. So I noted that required extra work. And I just want to say that it has not gone unnoticed, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Ms. Burrow, I turn it back over to you for the first resolution of the day.
And that will be agenda item 6.321.1. A resolution approving applications and authorizing the board chair to execute agreements with applicants for the lot lease program.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
I second the motion.
All right, we're ready for the vote. Director Hannon,
Aye.
Director Watson, Director Hatcher, Director Green,
Aye.
Director Burton,
Aye.
Director Anderson, and Director Clark.
Aye.
Okay, that passes.
Our second agenda item is 6.3.21.2. A resolution approving applications and authorizing the board chair to execute agreements with applicants for the Quiet Title Program.
Elliot, if
is
you're
it-
on the line, I'm sorry, Dr. Hannon, we've got a
Go ahead.
couple notes to make to the board. Elliot, if you are on the line, please make your presentation.
Yes, absolutely. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have for today 4 applications that are waiting for approval. Ms. Brown has 3 applications for rental. Ms. Brown has previously been approved for 4 properties with the Quiet Title Program. It was recent enough where we do not have any compliance items from her at this time. I would make the recommendation to the board just to put a hold on these applications for Ms. Brown until we can get compliance items from her.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion?
I just wanted to say thank you to our staff for giving us that piece of information. I know that that's something that we've discussed in recent board meetings. So thank you all for bringing that information to us.
Absolutely. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Dr. Hannon, before the motion, Elliot has 2 more notes to make because there's a
Okay,
new
I'm
property.
sorry. I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm
You're
just trying to
fine.
move us along, but sorry about that. Okay.
No, I'm grateful for that, but I want the board to be fully informed. Elliot, please speak
Absolutely.
to the applicant's name who is not on this list and also to the one who was added to this list.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Caroline. So we had an applicant who we thought was actually currently occupying a property. Thanks to Inspector Richardson's diligent work, we have determined that that property is in fact occupied. So we will not be approving it. That applicant's name was Anthony Caldwell. You will see Caleb Maxey at the bottom there. That was a applicant who came through basically right at the 30-day period for applications closing. Mr. Maxey had a application that I thought was quite good, very detailed, and we put it on here for the board approval for this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Elliot.
So for clarification's sake, it's the staff's recommendation to approve 1 property today, which is Caleb Maxey. Is that correct?
That's correct, Director Burton. And I want to just reiterate that there is nothing at all that would prevent Ms. Brown's applications from continuing. It is simply that we have approved several properties for her in the recent past, and not enough time has passed for us to get compliance documents from her. So before we approve any more, I just wanted the board to be aware that we have already approved 4 properties for her in the past 2 months, and she is asking for 3 more rentals at this time.
Thank you. If no one else has any other questions, Chairman, I'd be happy to go ahead and make a motion if you're ready.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Thank you so much, Elliot. And thank you, Ms. Douglas. All right, Director Burton, I'm sorry.
You're fine. I would like to motion to approve resolution 6.3.21.2 with the amendments suggested by our staff, thus approving application number 5912.
I'll second the motion.
All right, call for the vote. Director Watson, Director Hannon,
Aye.
Director Hatcher, Director Green,
Aye.
Director Burton,
Aye.
Director Anderson, and Director Clark.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Okay. Our next item is 6.3.21.3. A resolution authorizing a request to the land commissioner for the transfer of the state's interest of 7 tax delinquent properties located in the corporate limits of the city of Birmingham to the Birmingham Land Bank Authority. And so with us taking off one of the quiet title properties, we'll also remove it from the this request letter. So instead of 7, it will be 6.
Let me just get some clarification. So some of the Nikila Brown properties are listed here. It looks like 3 of them. So all 3 of those would come off of this item.
Yes, they would, Director Clark.
So that would result in 4 items. So the 3 listed for the lot lease program, and then the last one for the quiet title program.
Yes,
I believe that's correct, yeah. Ms. Burl, that is correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Just a follow-up question. The packet then that we have would not include the new person, I believe was Caleb Maxley or something. So that would just be, in addition to taking off them, we would be adding to what we have on our side, we would be adding that one property. Correct?
That's correct, Director Burton.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, so is there a motion to approve the resolution on the table?
I will motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Just for clarification's sake, is this a motion to approve with amendments, or is this a motion to approve as written?
I think we can approve this one as written. That was a very good observation, Director Clark. However, I think that we can keep it like it is. What do you think, Ms. Douglas?
Director Hannon, I think we should approve it with the amendment
Okay,
because it includes acquiring tax deeds for the 3 properties requested by Ms. Brown.
okay.
And those are the ones we're going to hold back until we can get some compliance information as Elliot recommended.
I see. Okay. Yes, let's make the motion with amendments.
Is that okay with you, Director Green?
Yes, that sounds good. I'm not exactly sure which amendments we're making, but You can take the lead here, Director Burton. Sorry, I'm at a conference and only paying half attention here.
Well, Brad, if you want to withdraw your motion, maybe one of us could restate it if that would suit. I mean, if you want to.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion if that's the cleanest thing to do here. Thanks.
All right, Director Burton or Clark, will one of you make the motion?
I'd be happy to. I'll motion to approve Resolution 6.3.21.3 with the amendments recommended by our staff.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, call for the vote. Director Hannon?
Present. I'm sorry. Aye.
It's okay. We can do roll all over
I've
again
been
if you
fighting
want.
that,
Okay.
like for every vote, I've been fighting that, but aye.
Okay. Director Watson? Director Hatcher? Director Green?
Aye.
Director Burton?
Aye.
Director Anderson? And Director Clark?
Aye.
All right, that motion passes.
The next item is 6.3.21.4, a resolution authorizing the termination of non-compliant property transfer agreements.
To refresh the board's memory, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, these were approved for review at the April regularly scheduled board meeting. That would be on April 8th. They were approved to be referred to Hand Arundel to review these agreements and to review our records to see if these were ripe for termination. And in your packet is a resolution that states that Hand Arundel did review the records of the land bank and also the agreements and recommended that they be terminated provided that their earnest money, any earnest money received, be refunded. Attorney Goldman is on the line with us if there are any questions for him, but that is just some of the background for you, that the review of these contracts and information regarding these property requests was approved at the April board meeting, and they're brought back before you now to authorize the termination of those agreements and also the refund of the earnest money.
I have two questions. First of all, thank you, Ms. Douglas, for that overview. My first one is to Mr. Smith. Would you mind giving us maybe a little bit more detail about what, I guess the 4 applicants did not do for why they're on this list? Y'all probably gave us some information at the April meeting, but I just was hoping for a refresher.
So Director Burton, you're asking specifically for why these are being refunded and their agreement terminated, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I believe that question is probably more suited for the attorneys. I will say that this, to my knowledge, these are individuals who did not follow through with the transfer agreement. But I would definitely speak more to Attorney Stanley about the exact specifics of this agreement.
So what's going on with these applicants is that they did not follow through with their maintenance and development plans. They had multiple times to, they've been asked to either turn them in or to revise it, and they have not done so.
And this is Ben Goldman. I would like to just emphasize what Ms. Burrell just said, that I think it's only appropriate on these that we be at the end of the process rather than the beginning of it. And each and every one of them were properties that were diligently worked by staff to try to get them to do what, we hope they'll do, which is just to present their plans and to follow through and provide information where needed. And, when there's an absence of information or action, it's a point. And I'll say also these, all of these have time issues. So I'd say that these, it's a new process for us because we've been busy early in the authority's history, just trying to get other things. Our focus has really been on trying to get properties through the process, but we're now really tightening down on our compliance procedures. And this is, I can tell you that staff, I think in this case, has done everything they could do to try to work these before they got turned over to us back in April. And we were able to review those files and are in agreement with their recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. My second question is, have we started the quiet title process on these, or are these kind of starting that process? Do we have clear time? Sorry,
Yes, I'm sorry. Most of them have clear title. I believe there are 2 of them that are still going through the process.
So these would go to would go into our immediate acquisition.
Yes.
Thank you. Actually, I have one last question. I apologize. Do we keep a list of individuals that don't end up that we ended up having? I guess we haven't done this for very many properties yet, but that we end up having to take properties back from. Do we end up keeping a list of that? Because that might be relevant information for us to receive if they ever apply for a property in the future. That maybe that could be kind of sent to the board as just information for us when deciding on whether to approve an application or not.
Yes, we do have a category in our e-property database for applicants that default on their agreements.
Thank you, Ms. Burrow. That's all. That's all my questions.
I guess that's,
So, Ms.
that's the
Burrow.
naughty list.
All right. Ms. Burr, so let me just be clear. Let me make sure I have some clarity here. These are people that reneged on their end of the bargain, of the deal?
Yes, we
And we are-
requested, we requested information from them in a timely manner. We have worked diligently trying to get this information from them, and they have not applied.
I understand. And they paid us earnest money.
That's correct. $500 per property.
So out of curiosity, why are we returning the earnest money? I'm not saying that we should or should not. I mean, are we just doing that just in good faith to them, or do we have a legal obligation to return it, or is it, us just
Dr. Hannon, if I could answer that, that's a great
yes.
question. I'll say part of it is a legal practicality, which is that our agreements limit the land bank's exposure to the money that they've paid in. And so by returning that earnest money, we are really cutting off any potential for a claim altogether. And
okay,
so
I understand.
I would see this as, it's probably the fair result, but it is also practically saving us legal expenses and trouble.
Right, I totally understand. Thank you.
So my question is, has there been any conveyance of real property for any of these? Or this is this is happening prior to the actual conveyance, like is the ownership reverting back to us, or is just a termination of the contract?
This is prior to conveyance on these properties.
Okay. And I guess one other question I have about these is, okay, two. So this is kind of the first time we are doing the enforcement or the termination of agreement for non-compliance to the awardees of these properties. I think that's what I'm hearing, that this is our first time or the first batch that we're really doing this for, yes?
I would say it's the first time we're doing it unilaterally. I'm sure that there have been instances where we have worked with the property owner, but these are ones where we're just not getting responses. I think, Ms. Burrell, can you confirm that's just sort of been the case across the board on these?
Yes,
And
that's correct.
And I was just wondering if there might be a pattern with these where a lot of time elapsed from the time they paid the earnest money to the time that we awarded them. And I guess I'm thinking more like in my case, if I was going to make an investment in real estate, I might have found something else to invest in by the time these were awarded to me. I'm just wondering, were these processed rather quickly, or was there a lot of elapsed time from the time these applicants applied and were awarded to the time we were trying to get them to perform?
There could be a mixture of both. Some of them took longer than others. From the way I see it, for some of them, giving them more time should make them even more diligent about what they're going to do, because some of these properties are like for the retail. At first, the person might have wanted to do one thing, but now since there's so much going on in that neighborhood, that gives them more time to revamp their original plan, come up with more funding sources. So it could be a mixture of both.
Okay.
Director Clark, if I might offer a thought too that I think may speak to that concern, which is that this comes as a part of a bigger tightening of our processes, where we've learned some of the issues as we've gone along, sort of trailblazing this path for land banking in Alabama. And one of the things that I think will make our future projects, I think on some of these, I think there was a lack of definitiveness to their plans that you see in lack of follow through. And so we have tried to revise what we are asking of applicants to basically put them in a position to be more successful. And the three elements that I personally look for and have tried to design into our forms now is that I believe a project will be successful if number one, it's technologically feasible to make the repairs that are intended. Number two, can the work be accomplished in a reasonable amount of time? And number three, does the applicant have the funds on hand to complete the project that's planned in the time permitted? And if you have those three things, construction plans that can be accomplished in a reasonable time and the funds to complete it, that project will be successful 100% of the time. And I think by making our applicants go through that process in more detail on the front side, I think then when they get the green light, they'll be ready to go. So I hope we see less of these as we move forward.
I guess I hear you, but then I'm also thinking, if I go to that level of due diligence on the front end and secure my financing and get the concept down tight, and then I'm approved for the quiet title and it takes a year, then what? I mean, it takes a year to clear the title to award the property. I mean, so then I'm sitting here, I mean, you can't, I don't know. I'm just wondering how realistic that is too. Not to say that what you just said isn't prudent. I'm just wondering how practical that is. Because, you know, to get financing, I would think you might need site control. And so I'm just wondering, especially for something that's non-residential or something, but I don't know. I think we'll get there, and I don't disagree that we need to terminate these. I'm just, I know there's a big time lag in our ability to deliver the site to these applicants, and it could be variable. You know, it might be a few months, it might be a long time. It's what I'm understanding of the quiet title process.
Director Clark, if it helps, I know in terms of the court process, once a case for quiet title is filed, I don't believe it takes more than 4 to 6 months for that process. But let's take a scenario where a buyer wants a property that's ready for immediate sale. So they would then apply for our immediate acquisition properties. And those have already moved through the quiet title process. And once their plans are submitted, their redevelopment and maintenance plans, then they can be scheduled for closing. And that is a much shorter process. Now, Ms. Burrow can speak to the quiet title process on the front end, because if we don't yet have a tax deed, we still have to make that request to the state and then wait to receive that tax deed. And then once we receive that tax deed, there's a process in-house where we assess it to the land bank and then assign it out. That period of time, from what I understand, and speaking to Ms. Burrell, is taking a little longer than normal. And I think that happened around COVID. Is that right, Ms. Burrell? The time
That's
to receive a
correct.
tax deed from the state? Okay.
That's correct.
So would these have been immediate acquisition parcels? Or
No, ma'am.
okay.
No, they are not. If once these,
Okay, but I don't have any more questions though, that. I mean,
these
I'm
will
ready.
be available for immediate acquisition once, if you all approve this. So whoever applies, if these same people want to apply, as long as they have a better application than someone else, if it's awarded to them, it won't take as long. Because we already have quieted the title.
Okay, but they would not be debarred necessarily. It might actually motivate them if they're to get their acts together.
Yes.
Okay. Well, did we make motions already on these? I don't remember. Or
Not yet.
is there a motion?
Not yet.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 6.3.21.4, authorizing the termination of non-compliant property transfer agreements.
Second.
Okay, Director Burton, is that you for a second?
It is. I have no
Okay.
problem though if you, which of two people who said second you write down, but
It's okay. I think it was between you and Director Green. Director Green is shaking his head, so I've got you down, Ms. Director Burton, for a second.
sounds
All right.
good.
We'll call the vote. Director Watson, Director Hannon,
Aye.
Director Hatcher, Director Green,
Aye.
Director Burton,
Aye.
Director Anderson, and Director Clark.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes.
Okay. And next, do we have any old business?
We do. I've got two items to inform the board about for old business. On May 17th, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta invited the Land Bank to present at a home ownership webinar series. And that was done in partnership with the AME Church and Bishop C. Wright. And I attended and presented at that webinar and invited the staff to attend with me. Ms. Burrell was in attendance with me, and it was well attended. And this webinar was over 3 days, and we had one session to present. I think it was a great opportunity for the Land Bank to promote its programs to homeowners. These would be first-time home buyers, to where they can move into a neighborhood, choosing their lot, and perhaps finding a builder or rehabbing a structure that has been vacant and abandoned and is a lot that we can get access to. So it was great working with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Atlanta and also the AME Church. Secondly, on May 24th, the Land Bank staff and I met with Director Burton to talk about our current program applications. I'm making revisions to the application, and I'll pass that on to the staff, who will then make their comment and revisions, and then we'll pass that on to Director Burton, who will add his comment and revisions. And hopefully we plan to have it finalized by the time our application reopens on June 28th. That's all I have for old business.
I just wanted to add to that. Thank you, Ms. Douglas, about that last, which is so far we haven't, even though that's, in our previously even though that would typically have gone underneath special projects, it was just a meeting between myself and staff due to the legal recommendation to not have committees virtually. If other members of the Special Projects Committee feel comfortable having an in-person meeting moving forward, I know Kay Ivy's thing expires on the 6th. I'm more than happy to do so. Otherwise, just a recommendation to send in any thoughts you have to Ms. Douglas related to that. So that's all I have related to that one. And then I have a couple questions about other items whenever.
Mr. Chairman, I've got some items under new business if we're ready to move there, or Director Burton, do your questions pertain to anything under old business?
They do, Ms.
Okay.
Douglas.
Right. So, Director Burton, at this time, go ahead with your questions, and then we'll go right into new business.
Okay, thank you. I just have two questions. My first one is, I know you sent out something related to the FY 2022 budget. The way that the document was written, to me, looked like it was, I don't know, it read to me, it was like for 1.5 million. Was that supposed to be what we requested from the city? The way that it was written to me was a little bit confusing.
Mm-hmm. So what was in the spreadsheet was the proposed budget that finance had worked on with our administrator. And those numbers were not changed. Those numbers were then presented to during our budget sessions.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know what we want to do about this, but I know that right now the council is considering the proposed budget, and I know that then our proposed budget that we asked from the city is the amount in the proposed budget is much lower than the requested budget. Is that something that we feel like we should have sit downs with counselors about, to just kind of say, here's what our budget proposal is, here's why we requested that amount, is there a possibility for revisions? before a final budget is passed?
Well, let me know what your thoughts are, because we've got a funding agreement that Attorney Wright mentioned is being finalized and will be presented to the council. And I think, Attorney Stanley, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what she said was the funding that's requested in that agreement would be adjusted depending on the appropriation that would be made under the 2022 budget.
Right.
So with that in play, I would think that we would not ask for an additional appropriation, but would ask for the funding that we are asking for in that agreement.
I'm sorry, maybe I misheard. I thought you said that the amount written in the agreement will be based on what ends up being approved for 2022. Is that correct?
No, I think what I heard Attorney Stanley say, and I hope he's on the line so he can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I heard him say that the dollar amount that would be requested from the council in the funding agreement would be adjusted depending on the appropriation that was already made to the land bank. So for example, I think in the current fiscal year 2022 budget, there is 300,000 for operations and an additional, let's see, what was that? An additional 391,000, I believe, for salaries.
Correct.
So if we add those together, okay, I think what Attorney Wright was saying was, if we're requesting, let's say, I think 1.2 million in that funding agreement, that ask would be reduced by the amount that we've already received. That's what I understood. But if Attorney Stanley's on the line, I would really hope he can correct that if I'm wrong.
No, can you hear me? That was what Attorney Wright conveyed.
Okay.
I will state that I have, if our funding agreement ends up being that a request, because the way that, just for clarification for folks who maybe haven't read through the full proposed funding agreement, it's currently written as a 5-year funding agreement, and there is a baseline request for funding for each of the 5 years, right? So what Director Douglas and Mr. Stanley are saying is that the baseline amount we would receive every year for those 5 years would be that $691,000. And I will throw in there, I have no problem with moving forward with a funding agreement that says a minimum of $691,000. So I'm cool with that. The funding agreement, though, does allow for the city to give us more than that, a minimum amount every year. So regardless of whether or not what the funding agreement is, I would think it might be a good idea for us to have conversations with city councilors to make sure they're aware of why we were requesting $1.5 million. And, for their awareness in that in any negotiations they may have with the mayor's office over the next couple weeks. Would there be any opposition? Yeah, I think largely that could just include, I believe at the public hearing, there seemed to be some misunderstandings I wasn't at the public hearing, just from what I've heard. There seemed to be misunderstandings from some counselors about what our financial situation is currently. And so it might just be as simple as sending them the presentation Ms. Douglas gave to us last meeting related to what our current financial situation is, along with the budget request Ms. Douglas sent us yesterday. And then just kind of letting them know those two things. Is that something board members would be amenable to if we just made sure that counselors had those two documents?
I think you can send it to them, but my opinion is that you should start in the mayor's office, and it's the mayor's budget. He presents it to the council, and adjustments are made and negotiations are made, and Ms. Douglas is capable of having those discussions, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, definitely no opposition here. That communication should also be with the mayor. Absolutely, because you're right. Because
I
of the
would
mayor
like to know
council
if
act,
your budget plan is open to the public, and if so, if I could get a copy of it.
as in our
Hello?
budget request, is that what you're asking?
Yes. Because I'm hoping that I could use a sample of your budget and apply the strategy to my plan as well, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry. May I ask who is speaking and what plan you're referring to?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm Marion Ackley with the Highland Park Community Association, and I'm here for this land bank meeting because I want to get a better understanding of what it is and how it is. How do you proceed in starting up one? So I'm asking if you have any. I guess training or information that you could share with me in order to start one in our community.
I'm sorry, starting a land bank authority?
No, a land banking, I guess for the community.
Right. Director Burton, what?
Land banking business, I guess you would say it like that.
Yes. No, I understand. So tell me your name again.
Marion, Marion Ackley. And I'm very interested in the land banking and how I can apply it and use it in my community.
Yes, ma'am.
Hundreds of houses that are dilapidating and are not being used. So I would like more information on how you got your business started, how you got started in land banking.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be happy to supply that information to you. That is something that if you contact the land bank, we have people that will talk to you about that, or you can contact me directly. Also, we do have some
information.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat in just a second.
Well,
But
I'm on the phone. I can't see.
Okay. Okay.
Exactly
If you,
what you're doing.
Miss Ackley, if you call the land bank, if you call Miss Chelsea Law or Miss Burrow, they'll give you. They have permission to give you my phone number or email.
Okay.
And either they or I will be happy to talk through this process with you. And also, we do have a seminar series where we talk to people, residents who are interested in participating in neighborhood revitalization programs. And so we will be happy to assist you in any way that's within our capacity.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to also add on to what Dr. Hannon is stating, though, just so folks understand that the Birmingham Land Bank Authority is not a private corporation business. We are a governmental agency authority that was established by an ordinance of the city of Birmingham, and the city of Birmingham had legal authority to establish such ordinance based on a state code, the State Land Bank Authority Code, established as a part of the Birmingham, or as a part of the Land Bank Authority bill, enabling legislation by the state legislature.
Director Burton, can you read the number that's in the chat so that she can have it? Because I don't think she can see what's in the chat.
Absolutely. So Miss Chelsea Law, one of our staffers, put our the office number, which is area code 205-254-2666. 2117, and our website, which is www.birminghamlandbank.org.
All right, thank you, Director Burton. We have a couple of members who have to drop off at 3 p.m. So
Yeah.
we definitely want to go ahead and move on to new business.
Just a really quick proposal. I know that last meeting, Mr. Datcher had told us about the grant to apply for those federal funds. We talked in passing about making sure that we had a group to work on that with staff from the board. Since now Kate Ivy's thing is ending, I just am proposing that we send that grant to our special projects committee in order to make sure that the application's due June 30th. So would that be amenable to you, Dr. Hannon?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine with me.
Okay.
I guess one question I have, Dr. Hannon, is what are our committees? And have you made committee assignments since you've become the chair, or are we going under old committee assignments? And I just I'm not on a committee and I don't know what they are and what my choices are. And you don't have to answer that now. Maybe that's something you can think about, like letting some of the new members know what the committees are and if you're making assignments to those or whatever the process is.
Well, I don't want to be autocratic about it. I would want people to volunteer for the committees, and so this is something that Ms. Douglas and I have been talking about, and so we will communicate that more. I mean, we'll be more open in the communication about that in the next couple of weeks. But we do want to get our committees up and running. And no, I have not assigned anyone. I probably will leave it up to everyone to volunteer.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question. Could anyone, whether they live in Birmingham or outside of Birmingham, be on the committee?
No, ma'am. These are committees for the Birmingham Land Bank Authority, which is a governmental agency. The board is appointed by the mayor of Birmingham and the Birmingham City Council. But the meetings are open to the public, so the public will, when we start having them again, the public will be invited to come and listen, and there will be time for questions and answers during the committee.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We want to make sure that we do everything that we do is out in the light of day.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, before you move to new business, I have a question about how the fund balance impacts. I mean, is our budget request funded from what we generate, or is that somehow in a reserve how does that function? Does that benefit our operations at all?
Are you asking Director Clark if the fund balance benefits our operations?
If program income can be used to benefit our operation or supplement over and above city allocations, or is that where how the city funds us in the first place? I guess is what I'm asking.
Okay, I hope this answers your question, but let's take the current fiscal year where the city appropriated $300,000 for operations and I believe a little, $314 or so for salaries. The land bank having brought in 1.1 million in sales and redemptions, that supplements whatever we receive. So we receive funding in 3 buckets. It's that city appropriation, it's our sales and our redemption. How the fund balance operates is if we are, and you'll remember that spreadsheet where it shows that if we are operating for any given month at a negative balance, that fund balance comes in to cover that. Or if we are at a surplus, then it stays level. In speaking with finance, that fund balance really, we don't touch it per se. It is there and has, over the years, little by little rolled over.
Okay, so it's safe to say that the 691 would be our appropriation, but we'd also have program income to work with
Correct.
for operations.
That's
So
correct.
I think that creates a more complete picture of what we're, working with. So we're not limited to the city appropriation, whatever it ends up being. So that's how.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So how will we make any projections about, okay, so when we get ready to do the budget, will we make any projections about, you know, revenue we might achieve based on the goals we set and budget to that, or?
Mhm. Yes, we
Is that
can do that.
Okay.
That's something we can do. Mhm.
All right. Are we, no, I think those are fantastic questions. And I love the business approach to this. And that's something that I've worked with Ms. Douglas with over the last, several months, is to steer this board more towards a business-like approach when we deal with the money. And the first thing that involves is being transparent with the budget sheets and the finances, the balance sheets, I should say. And so, Director Clark, those are all very good questions and very pertinent questions. And so, do we want to move to new business now? Is there any other further discussion? All right, Ms. Douglas, can we move to new business?
Yes, we can. All right,
So
I just got one. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I've just got one item for new business. The Land Bank was invited to attend a community day that'll be hosted by Commissioner Tyson. This will be for the North Side community. This event is scheduled for June 27th, and I plan to attend, and the staff plans to attend. It'll be a good opportunity for us to inform residents about our programs. That's the only note I have, and I wanted to turn it over, if there were no other comments, to Ms. Burrell for a presentation.
Thank you. So as you all know, Eric M. Fancher Jr. has tendered his resignation effective June 12th. I think I speak for us all when I say that we will truly miss working with him. He has worked tirelessly as the administrator, counselor, sign putter upper, accountant, appraiser, application approver, picture taker, website designer, Birmingham guide, a liaison, and even more for the Land Bank since he took over for Phil Emthor in 2017. Under Eric's direction, to date, we have cleared title to nearly 600 parcels of previously tax delinquent property. In his honor, Mrs. Chelsea Dill has prepared a collage of memories that we have shared with him over the years.
I guess again, just speaking as the Land Bank, for the Land Bank staff as a whole, that we would truly miss Mr. Fancher. He has truly been a delight to the Land Bank inside and out of the office. Eric has done so much for each and every one of us. I mean, if you look at the third picture at the top there, he was there for my wedding. He took all of the pictures there. And so because of him, I do have a good collage of pictures and memories to share. He was truly the jokester of the office, as well, as you can tell by the crying Michael Jordan face that he made of himself. Eric has just truly done so much for the Land Bank, from, being there from the crack of dawn to even, after sundown when the office is closed. He's been the ones on Saturdays driving around the communities and putting up signs when we didn't have Mr. Richardson. He's answered phone calls. He's called us, before, during, and after we were in the office, just to even call and check up on us. I think I speak as a whole too, we would truly miss our honorary little land bank staffer, Leslie, his daughter. Leslie truly puts a smile on all of our faces when she's around. As you can tell, she's been a part of the land bank since she was a baby. Leslie, she all the time when she comes in the office, she's like, "I'm Eric Fancher and get back to work." So she is truly a character, just like her dad is. I'm not gonna say much, because it is very sad, with him leaving, but I know that wherever he goes, that he's truly going to be an essential person there. I think as well, we will miss his knowledge of Birmingham as a whole. I have never met a person who can tell you which way to go around Birmingham. He knows the street ways, the back ways, the alleyways, the highways, the byways, everything in between. So, um, as a board, you all see one side of him, but working with him every day in the office, we see so much more. He's truly been more than just a boss or supervisor. He was a friend and an uncle, brother, whatever you needed him to be, he was most definitely there. And I don't want this to sound like a eulogy because he's, but like me and Miss Joanne spoke about earlier, it is very important to give their person their flowers while they are still here. And he definitely deserves all the roses and flowers that he can give. So that's all I have to say.
I just gotta first say, Miss Law, why you gotta do that to him and put his memed self with Michael Jordan out there like that? Why you have to do that to him?
I just wanted you
Um,
all to see that goofy side of Eric that you may not see. I mean, we have countless of stories where he has just truly been a character in the office, and when things are completely going wrong in the office, he has always been that one that can make anybody smile and laugh. And that mean Michael Jordan picture, I think, is one of the greatest memories we do have of him. So
yeah.
yeah, he's a character.
I'd like to also just make sure to say my thanks to Mr. Fancher. He's been, of course, the administrator since before I was even appointed to the land bank. Um, I've worked back before I was on the land bank. I worked from the with an organization, that was applying for side lots adopt lots, and so I've worked with him, and I guess in that sense from both sides. But not only was he there before me, he's been there as well as Ms. Burrow since before we ever cleared a single title through quiet title. So when Ms. Burrow said that we've cleared over 600 properties underneath his direction, I want to uplift that every single property we've cleared has been underneath his direction. He helped us lead our process of passing our most recent victory in the state legislature. That was something started and led by Mr. Fancher. And so everything that we've done, communications, the creations of webinars, and obviously doing this in coordination with our other staffers as well. But all of these things, increasing communication with the public, updating application processes for how our processes are done. All of these things have been done underneath his direction, and this couldn't be a more sad day, I think, for those of us who have worked with him for some time. But we wish him the best. We know that, as Miss Law said, this isn't a eulogy. Well, I'll still see him around. He still lives here in the city, so I'm sure we'll be seeing him and working with him in other ways. But thank you, Mr. Fancher. You've done a lot for us in our community, and we really appreciate you.
All right, thank you. And I certainly want to echo the sentiments from Chelsea and Miss Burrow and Rob. And I just want to say thank you to Eric for laying down the foundation for the Birmingham Land Bank Authority, for always carrying himself with class and professionalism. And he certainly was a very good model and a very good individual for what we want to accomplish in the city of Birmingham. I mean, he represents that at work and personally. And so I just want to give my appreciation to Mr. Fancher as well.
Director Hannon, I'd also like to add to the record just my appreciation for Eric's leadership and just how he worked so tirelessly to help us, or just to shepherd the resources to help us get the process for clearing titles worked out. And this is so foundational to Birmingham being able to, reform this land that is, just become a tremendous burden on the city and a blighting influence on our neighborhoods and communities. So, this is, he's helped us, as you mentioned, just get that foundational step in place and something to build from. And, it really turned around and became functional under Eric. And we, I just can't.
Right.
I mean, my gratitude is endless for his, his leadership. And so I feel like we're in a great place and we can launch and launch from here because of Eric and really do some phenomenal work with this entity. So again, thanks to Eric.
I'd like to, if it's all right, to motion for a resolution to give official thank you to Mr. Fancher for all of the work he has done for the Land Bank Authority, including his work to coordinate with community residents and educate them about the land bank, creating processes to clear property, and coordination for all legislative agendas and more.
I second the motion.
All right. Do we want to call individual votes or are we going to do a unanimous vote? What would you like?
Let's do the individual votes, or either one. I think would be good, but I just want to make sure that we have enough for the quorum.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Director Hannon.
Aye.
Director Hatcher.
Aye.
Director Green. Director Burton.
Aye.
Director Anderson. And Director Clark.
Aye.
All right. That passes.
You didn't call Director Watson, but
Oh, are you there? Okay, Director Watson.
aye.
I did not see you. Thank you very much. All right, that passes.
One question, Ms. Douglas. Would you mind sending out the information about that event that Commissioner Tyson is planning in the North Side to the board members?
We received an email that just had a description of the event from her staff. We don't have an official flyer or anything of that sort. So would you like just the detailed information of the event, or would you like something more official once that comes out?
I think something more official whenever it comes out is fine.
Okay, will do. As soon as we get that, we'll send that out to you, to the board.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. I want to thank the board for being here today. This is our second meeting in 2 weeks. And I really do appreciate everyone's time today. And so from the chairman, I want to say thank you to all of the board members for taking time out of their busy week to be here today and to participate in what we want to accomplish at the Land Bank. And thank you too, Ms. Douglas, because you have, over the past 2 weeks, you have been really working hard, along with Ms. Burrow and Ms. Chelsea. So my hat's off to each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
I second the motion.
Well,
I second. I second.
All right, thank you, everybody. You all have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
I need to